Hey guys, just wanted to check in and kind of talk a little bit today about how everyone's feeling, and just some of the things we can be doing even if we're feeling isolated, even if we're feeling bored, what we can be doing to kind of maintain our mental health, our physical health. Because I think there's a lot of focus on right now. I'm hearing over and over people feeling kind of hopeless and helpless and just feeling like there's nothing they can do. And so many people are saying, I find myself just sitting on the couch, just kind of mindlessly watching TV and feeling like, well, I can't go out. There's conflicting information on what I think I can do, who I can see, and it feels really kind of like there's no end in sight. And I think that feeling when everything feels like it's out of our control, it's all external. um, that's kind of the triad of depression in general, right? Is external locus of control, feeling like things just happen to us, and then that leads to hopelessness and helplessness. And a lot of that's going on right now, and the media is making it feel that way too. So I wanted to just talk a little bit today about what we can be doing to feel more hopeful, to feel like we do have control of what's going on with our health, with our families, with our physicality, our emotions, our spirituality. And so just some simple things. It's not an all-inclusive list, but just a lot of what's been coming up for clients this week and kind of ideas we've had. So one of the big things is our physical bodies and taking care of them. So as far as our immune system goes, there's a whole field of psychoneuroimmunology, which is saying that our mind and body and spirit health is all interconnected. So things like meditation, yoga, breathing exercises, prayer, time spent in nature, things that are affecting the health of our nervous system and just our emotional well-being, that are helping to lower our heart rate, that are helping to lower our blood pressure, not allowing our bodies to be stuck in fight or flight mode. I mean, that's a lot of people right now are just in constant fight or flight. They're scared. So what are the things we do to get out of that, to decrease cortisol levels in our body, to bring our adrenaline down to a healthy level? And so things like yoga, hiking in nature, grounding, going for a walk, even just looking outside as part of your morning routine. Can you pour your cup of tea or your water in the morning, and instead of turning on the news, can we sit and just look outside and take some deep breaths? So again, the physicality piece, we're looking at breath work, we're looking at movement, preferably in nature if you have access to nature, if you can even just go outside on a small deck or in a small yard, just to kind of take some deep breaths of fresh air. If you can walk around your neighborhood safely, if you can go on a neighborhood walk, if you can get to the woods or be more immersed in nature, even better. State parks are closed, but there are some bike paths that are still open that you can drive and still be out in nature. Working out at home is great too. So there's a lot of free YouTube videos with regular workouts. I would definitely be a proponent though of the things that are not taxing to your body. So if running makes you feel good, that's great. It's not a stressor for you. But in general, when we're talking about the health of our nervous system and we're talking about lowering cortisol, getting out of fight or flight mode, we're talking about like long walks in nature, being in the sun, doing yoga, stretching. So we want to do more of those gentle, relaxing exercises. So again, YouTube's a great resource. Free yoga videos, Tai Chi, meditation, guided meditation. So I think those are all things physically that can be so helpful. When we're also talking about just being grounded, so walking in your bare feet, in the grass, feeling connected, feeling kind of grounded with where you are, feeling like you are raising your energy level just by being connected with nature right now. I think in other physical pieces like eating healthy food, nourishing ourselves with vitamins and minerals and things that make us feel better and energized, even though it's really tempting to be eating junk food right now and kind of just, feeling comforted by that. Vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, all of these nutrients that they actually are saying from a Western medicine standpoint, they're actually acknowledging that is healthy for our immune system, even though holistically we've known that for a long time. But again, to feel more in control of your health and more empowered, if you can be eating those healthy foods or taking vitamins that have zinc and vitamin C in them, or supplements, listening to what the doctors are saying, which is that can empower you to have better health. It's a good time to quit bad habits that you might have. So, if you've been waiting for a chance to be able to quit smoking or to be able to, get into a healthy routine, it's a good time to kind of zero in and focus on that. I think when we talk then about moving from that physical side into more of the mental and relationship side there, I think they go hand in hand. It can be isolating right now. So how can we still have meaningful connection with the people that are important to us? Depending on the levels of social distancing that we're at, even if you live alone, if you have other friends that live alone and you've all been following the social distancing rules, different states are saying different things about that. So if you haven't seen anyone in 3 weeks and your mom or your grandmother who lives up the street hasn't seen anyone in 2 or 3 weeks, that you can pick safe people that you can still interact with. You don't have to be locked up in your house all the time alone. Or if you can't guarantee that with anyone and you don't have those kind of safe people around you, using technology to connect, or even going over and talking to someone from the sidewalk on the phone so that they can see you and you can feel that kind of energy in person, even if they can't come out. I've seen that with people visiting family in nursing homes. They're standing on the sidewalk talking on the phone to their families, and their family members still able to see them, especially for people who maybe don't have the technology for FaceTime or who might not really understand that concept if that person's not right there in front of them. But I think that human connection factor is so important for our mental health. The other thing I want to say about our mental health right now is like turning off the news, disconnecting and unplugging from social media at times. There's a difference between being informed, which you could probably stay informed with like a 5-minute check-in every day of the news. It doesn't have to be hour upon hour of scrolling through, your feed on social media, getting into these arguments, seeing people that are being really nasty to each other. Different news outlets are kind of sensationalizing coverage of stories because they want you to be scared, because then you're going to keep clicking on their articles rather than picking news outlets that are very factual, and you're just getting the standard facts you need for that day to kind of get by without getting pulled into hot topic conversation panels and things like that. So limiting your media consumption, being mindful about it. There's a big difference between like Facebook, where everyone seems to have an opinion and be arguing, versus Pinterest, where you could get ideas and still have that piece of connection over maybe what's my idea for a craft I want to do this week and talking about it with friends. Or like listening to music, creating playlists that you share with your friends on a music sharing app versus an app that's more geared towards, arguing or discussing things to the point where they just become more anxiety provoking, right? So again, it has to do with connection. It also has to do with that emotional piece. If you feel that certain things are triggering to you, trying to avoid those things, but also then replacing them with other things that are soothing, that are a coping skill. So it's a great time, if you have ever been an artist or wanted to be an artist, to just, even if all you have is some old paper and pens, trying to start sketching or to start drawing or creating something. If you can, if you have a paint set, or if you can order something really cheap online, even on eBay, like a knitting needles and yarn, and trying to get into something like that. It's a great time to just be creative. You can also be creative without a budget. If you want to learn how to dance, YouTube has videos for that. So trying to say, do I want to learn a dance routine, or do I want to learn how to do something new, some kind of skill, learn a language, I don't know, anything like that we can think of that turns our brain on in a different way. We can be actively engaged in learning a skill, in feeling busy and feeling involved without just kind of mindlessly zoning out. So a screen can still be involved if it needs to be, but it doesn't have to be mindless zoning out, watching something that's maybe negative or polarizing, but doing something that's more uplifting and engaged. And then I would say that moving on to more of that like spirit aspect is important as well. I was just having a conversation this week with someone that, people pay thousands of dollars to go on these meditation retreats, which looks very much like social distancing, right? It's kind of like a very basic, bland diet of like rice and fasting and teas, and there's no outside distractions. A lot of the times you have to like leave your phone at the desk when you check in, and you're alone in your room for most of the day, but you have a structure and a schedule. Wake up, spend time meditating, spend time learning a mantra or focusing on an affirmation, and that's it. You're alone with your thoughts for maybe the whole day, and people are paying money to be isolated for a week or 2 or 3 at a time to go on these retreats. And the difference is that you have someone there holding you to that structure and accountability. But wouldn't it be interesting to try to model some of that in our daily lives? And I'm not saying spend 3 weeks just meditating and isolating yourself, but really taking that option to say, how many times have I wished that I just had 3 weeks off to do nothing? Or how many times have I wished that I could go to some fancy meditation retreat and no one would bother me and I didn't have these other things to do? If you're in a position where that's how you're feeling and you're just bored and you have no distractions, it's a good time to implement some of that. Maybe just see how that feels. If you're at home and your kids are running around and you have all these responsibilities, which is a lot of us are dealing with that right now, it might not go to that extreme of being able to sit and meditate all day. But how do we use the change of pace to make lasting changes for ourselves? Can we use mindfulness to say, wow, usually we're waking up and rushing out the door and the kids are yelling and I'm yelling because I'm frustrated, and now how nice is it to just kind of wake up and follow a natural rhythm, to see how the kids get up when they don't have that stress of rushing out the door, and now do I enjoy them more? Do I enjoy the fact that I don't feel like I'm angry or irritable because we're rushing or we're going to 10 different activities this week? So I think that mindfulness and spirituality can be linked, right? For some people, spirituality is prayer and is religion, believing in a higher power. It's a great time to tap into that if that's what you believe, if that's your belief system, that maybe there's a higher purpose or meaning for everything that's happening. If you can put your faith in something like that, I think that's amazing for your mental health too. But if you're not quite there, then just that element of mindfulness, of being in the moment 100%, and saying, what can I appreciate right now? Can I sit with this, even the uncomfortable aspects of it? And instead of fighting it and constantly driving myself just up the wall that, I can't believe this is happening, this is miserable, and pushing for the next moment and just wanting it to be over, you're wishing your life away. So the mindfulness piece of how do I sit with this? How do I come to accept it for what it is? And then maybe even be able to appreciate parts of it. So can we appreciate, the fact that we're not spending all our money just going out all the time anymore, if that's what we used to do, or appreciating that we have a family that maybe is calling and checking in with us? Or can we appreciate the stillness that when we wake up in the morning and we go on our porch now to drink our tea or our coffee, we're not hearing the rush hour of all the cars going by. There's more quiet now, possibly. Really being able to get in touch spiritually. How do I feel right now? What is going on in the world? How has everything changed? Are there things coming out of this that are maybe good? Are there things coming out of this that there's some sort of silver lining to the storm that we're going through? And then sitting with how that feels. How does that feel in your heart? How does that feel in your body? How does that feel in your mind? How does that feel in your soul? Trying to go through your day with an element of that. Like, yes, this is different. Different doesn't have to be bad. And so if you feel like your psyche and you feel like your spirit is being crushed recently with all these changes, rather than judging them harshly and pushing against them, the spirituality aspect comes in with leaning into that discomfort and just kind of questioning, why does this have to be bad? Why do I have a knee-jerk reaction that all of these changes are negative? And even if a lot of the changes maybe were negative for you, trying to find new positives, saying, is this opening new doors for me? Does this invite me to question what I'm doing, and maybe do I want to do something different? Do I want to be somewhere different? Do I envision myself in a different place this time next year? Whether the quarantine or isolation lasts another week or another year, how would my life look? So it's an interesting kind of time to ask those important questions. If I had to be isolated for 2 more weeks and then I go back to my normal, do I want to go back to my old normal, or am I noticing things in this time that I actually like better now? Or if I had to be stuck in quarantine for a whole year, what are the things right here in the walls within my home, my relationship, my space, or just myself? What are the things that I'm having trouble assimilating in myself, just being with myself, that I don't like, that I don't think I would want to be with those things for another year? And it's a great time to just ask, make a list, what are the things that are really standing out to me that I want to work on changing or improving, or that I actually feel comfortable with, that I might be okay with those things. I don't want anything to change. So I know I didn't really give a clear-cut answer on that piece of it, but I think spirituality is so unique to each person. There is no clear answer. It's just a lot of questions. It's exploration. It's your philosophy, your place in the world. But I think it's a great time to ask those questions. When you're faced with tough obstacles, that's the time to really kind of dive deep. So anyway, I know, just a check-in, wanted to offer some of that, just the idea that there's so much we can be doing right now. I do see the humor in all the memes and the people floating around and just saying that they've watched everything on Netflix, there's nothing else to watch, there's a permanent dent in their couch, and I get it, right? Like, especially if that's kind of where you've been, that's okay. I mean, a lot of people are there. But I just get so worried that it gives a general sense of hopelessness, helplessness, despair, external influences controlling everything, and that's not going to be good for our mental health long term. I just wanted to check in, kind of offer an alternative, offer some ideas. Some of them are basic, they're just kind of physical, changing up how our body is, if we're moving, looking at our relationships, looking at our emotions, looking at our circumstance, and then the deeper internal work of our soul, our spirit. How are we adjusting? What questions are we asking? How do we feel in the grand scheme of things? So, I hope you guys are doing okay. I hope that everyone is kind of, finding their own groove and finding their own piece of life with everything that we're going through. You can always reach out to us if you have any questions about anything. But, another big piece of it is, if you are struggling, reaching out. Everyone's doing telehealth now, finding a therapist. You can reach out to our practice or anyone else. And really just knowing when you need that extra layer of support, it is available to you. So I hope you guys stay well, stay happy, stay peaceful, and I'll post something else soon. Bye.